Back for another week of Motown Monday. Last week was a fun one. Up and down, here and there. Michigan State in the tournament. The Spartans getting bounced. Meanwhile, the Wolverines look primed for a national championship. Then you got the Pistons and Red Wings starting to get some guys back, still making those playoff pushes. Obviously, the Pistons at the top of their conference. Meanwhile, the Wings looking like they might miss out on the postseason. And then the Tigers getting their season started. And boy, was it off to a hot start. And boy, was I right about Kevin McGonigle. We got a lot for you here on Motown Monday number 3. But we'll start with the most important one of all of Michigan sports, the most important topic. It's Michigan. Michigan is a wagon. I've started deeming them a Misha-wagon because they are just going to keep on putting it on these teams. They do not care. They just suffocate them over and over. Tennessee never even had a chance to breathe in the start. It was rough for them. I didn't even get to see that game while I was at work, but you just knew it was coming. Their performance against Alabama was really the impressive one. To start as slow as they did, to look as rough as they did, while Bama got off to a red-hot start and still just dominate that game, using the second half to just slowly put them away and put it on them. Another cover for them, too. They're getting big spreads, and they're getting to them. The only problem is how good Arizona looks. Because when you watch Michigan, you think they're a national championship team. And when you watch Arizona, you think they're a national championship team. That Final Four game might just be the national championship. The Axel Lendeborg has been awesome. Koa Pete has been awesome. Elliot Cadeau has been awesome. The guards for Arizona have been awesome. It is going to be an awesome matchup. Saturday night, prime time, get your popcorn. It's going to be so good. Don't know enough about Arizona to really know how that matchup really changes things. I think that Krivos on the inside is going to be tough on Johnson and Mara, but the problem for Arizona is there's Johnson and Mara. We'll see how the two teams play. I think that's going to be as close as you see to like a pro-type game where both teams are really looking for manufactured shots. It's going to be really interesting. I'll take Michigan. Give me Michigan to win that one. It's basically even if you go look at the odds. But I really like the Wolverines in that one. I just think they're that good. I think Dusty May is that good. And I think that the Big Ten schedule tested them really well through the season to get them ready for this. Now, I think you could say the same things for Arizona. The coaching has been really good from Tommy Lloyd. They were tested in the Big 12. The Big 12 is the conference there right after the Big 10 in basketball this season. I think that's without a doubt. But I do like Michigan by that edge. I think that there's just something about it. Maybe I'm just pot committed. Maybe that's what I get for already having a future on them and a bracket pool riding on them. But I really do like Michigan here. It's not a spot where I would want to cash out of those Michigan spots. I think they can do it. I think they will win it all. I definitely think the winner of Michigan-Arizona beats the winner of UConn-Illinois. Which, speaking of UConn, takes us to Michigan State. Michigan State had a great season. I don't think you can take that away from them. I think it was just kind of clear that they weren't that caliber of a team. I was wrong about the caliber of a team that UConn is, and St. John's tricked me about that. Because UConn is really good. The fight to come back and beat Duke was special. But it's even more of a point that Michigan State has nothing to be upset about with this season. Obviously, you're always shooting for the national championship, but if you look at that lineup at the beginning of the year, I don't think you're thinking Final Four. I think you're thinking Sweet 16, and hopefully the matchup's good, and the matchup was rough. They got UConn, a really good UConn team with a really good Hurley coach. So, tough there for Michigan State, but I like Michigan. They're a wagon, Misha-wagon. I'm taking them all the way. Got them beating Arizona and then beating UConn. I think UConn will come out on top over Illinois, but I've been wrong about Illinois over and over. The Pistons and the Red Wings are still in that same spot they were in last week. For the Pistons, I've changed my tune slightly. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the timeline on a collapsed lung. What I do know is that Dennis Jenkins has shown that he can still play well with increased volume. I'm not saying it's against the best competition in the league. I don't think tomorrow against the Thunder is going to go particularly well. But I do think he's shown that he can handle below average teams. And while the matchup is starting to look like Charlotte in the first round of the playoffs, and Charlotte is probably an above average team at this point in the season, I wonder if this Pistons team could take them without Cade. You have to start to recognize this is actually a really well-built team. It's not a team that is serious by any means without Cade. The offense definitely takes a dip. But there's also the fact that they can play really tough defense, they rebound well, and they've got enough scoring in there. It almost seems like those guys pick up their offensive intensity or they get into some type of rhythm, even when Cade's out, in a matchup where they don't have to create that much. Look at Tobias Harris. Look at Jenkins. Duran with a big night here and there. Stu hasn't even been available for all those games. They've got a tough week coming up. I think it's 2 to 3 winnable games. I think the first matchup against the Thunder is going to be a tough one. But I think it's a team that can win a series without Cade. And it actually makes me feel better for that second round matchup for when Cade is back. And you've got Cleveland or New York, depending on how these standings shake out. I'm excited for the postseason. They're clearly going to be there. I think it's pretty clear they're going to get the number 1 seed. It'll be interesting to see how deep they can go, because I think the conference final should be the goal. Earlier it was win the Eastern Conference. I think it's become clear that it's not going to be that easy, especially with a Celtics team that's adding Tatum back, a Cavs team that added Harden, and a Knicks team that was pretty cold to start the season with the coaching change. And I think all those teams are going to hit their stride, and I think those teams are really specifically built for the playoffs. And we'll see how the Pistons react. I'm excited to see how the Pistons react. But that takes us to the other team on that similar schedule, the Red Wings, chasing a playoff spot and a really tough loss to the Flyers. A big win against the Sabres put them in a really good position, but then they don't come up when you need them. And it's another game they lose where they fight like hell at the end and you think they're going to make it happen and they just can't quite get there, but it was just too little too late. It's not for the lack of fight at the end. It's for the lack of fight in the beginning. The team has scored less first period goals than anybody. And I'm a non-puck guy, so I don't know the reason for that. But it feels too easy to say it's just a lack of fire coming out to start the game. There's no way you can be a playoff team and score the least amount of goals in a specific period. You just got to be better than that. Their schedule looks easier than the rest of those teams that are fighting for the wild card spots. It's still possible for them to get in. But it's not looking great. And if I had to put my money where my mouth is today, I'd say that team's not going to make the playoffs. It's a shame. It's a shame what March has done to this Red Wings hockey team based on what I'm seeing right now and what I'm hearing from other fans. Because I'm a non-puck guy. I'm getting into it. But I'd love to see them in a playoff series. You've seen Gibson get hot. Any goalie can get hot. Any team can get hot. Who knows? Maybe those first periods would go better with some playoff juice. But the way they're playing right now, they're just not even going to get in. And I think hockey is a sport where you just got to get in. I'd like to see them come up with a big week this week. Couple big matchups. Every single game feels like it's against a team that's fighting for a wild card spot. It's not quite, but every game feels like it because it's not easy while the rest of the East goes on a tear to lose these games and not slip down the standings. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Larkin can start to feel better. Power play unit looked pretty good, but I'm a non-puck guy. Maybe it wasn't impressive. Either way, I'd love to see them make the playoffs because that's what the NHL is about. The Tigers got off to a hot start. Winning 2 out of 3 in San Diego is impressive. It's going to be tough for any team, though, to beat us in a series where we start at the top of the rotation. When you go Scooble, then Framber. Those are two games where you should be favored against any team in the league. There might be a few pitching matchups where you're not favored, but I think Skubal and Framber with the Tigers lineup, you should be favored in those first two games every time. So winning those first two is great. And what I saw from Flaherty wasn't awful in Game 3. The bullpen was great all 3 games, though. I really liked what I saw from the pitching. It was really deep. But that's not what this first 3-game series was about. It was about Kevin McGonigle, your 2026 American League Rookie of the Year, who I was right about, making the opening day roster, and then coming up huge for the Tigers. Breaking it open in Game 1, 4 for 5, one of like 4 or 5 players ever to have 4 hits in his debut. And then he follows it up with a 10-pitch lefty-lefty game-winning at-bat with a 2-run single. He's so poised in there. They don't give that 80 hitting tool grade away for nothing. And Kevin McGonigle has shown why. I didn't know his sprint speed was going to be like that. He's already playing a solid shortstop. I'm so fired up. The only problem is Chase DeLauder, but we don't talk about guards ball and that garbage. But he could be a problem in the Rookie of the Year race. McGonigle's the story here, though. Between all of those stats you can look at, the 417 average, the 5 for 12 to start his career, not to mention being robbed of a home run, the pitching looks great. He's going to be your Rookie of the Year. We're going to run away with the division. It's once again about that deadline move. Can that deadline move make the difference for the Tigers this season? Because it's time to go all in. You have the prospects to do it. You hold on to Skubal. Lose him for nothing in the offseason. Who cares? You have an opportunity to truly do something special, and it's time to take that chance. Not to mention, super excited for the week coming up for the Tigers. Justin Verlander on Sunday Night Baseball at home is going to be electric. Can't wait to watch that. Tigers look good, though. Hot start. Kevin McGonigle. I absolutely love that baseball's back. But that's going to do it for this week. Michigan's got a big week ahead. The Pistons and Red Wings have a big week ahead for their playoff push. And then I'm still going to ride the high off the opening week for the Tigers. But that's it for this week. We'll see you next week for Motown Monday.